people should start listening to me. And even if I never get to speak on the radio again, my word stands by way of my document. If you have lost any money, or your family has lost any money, or the very fact that you pay taxes and happen to have an ethical lawyer for a son or a daughter, they can query the dockets in Massachusetts with my name and access the public records from their kitchen, from their den. They don't have to leave the house to query dockets as long as they're a lawyer. They can see that I'm not lying. But if one person, one place, decides to sue, say, the Attorney General of New York for failing to act within the scope of his employment for the last 7 years, i.e. Elliot Spitzer's signature pertaining to money, right? Never mind what happened to Dave's money or Dr. Carly's son or Dave's false imprisonment or Dr. Carly's false imprisonment. Look to their own interests. And by you defending your rights and interests, you will help Dr. Carly and I because we're all in the same boat together.
Exactly.
And who these people are offends me. They work for us.
Yeah.
And they can be replaced very easily. They're politicians or political appointees. Now, as far as you go, Dr. Carly, the lady who ethically asked Spitzer to look into your matters is now a judge. The judge who chastised you greatly and caused you a great deal of harm is no longer a judge.
Exactly.
I can serve that lawyer hard evidence of financial crimes and cap it off with evidence of murder. Everybody goes, what's Dave Amos talking about murder for? I'm the guy with all the wiretap tapes of the mob that the FBI threw in the garbage in the mid-'90s when America's most wanted serial killer, Whitey Bulger, ran off. You can go to where I store my files on Internet Archive and download 2 wiretap tapes in their entirety, 139 and 143. Sit back and listen to them. It's like listening to an episode of The Sopranos. Ask yourself what a Canadian citizen is doing with wiretap tapes, and it's not just mobsters on there. It's their families, their daughters, their friends. I have no right to have these tapes. I have no right to be listening to them, and nor should you. And ask yourself why everybody has refused to investigate them for 7 years.
Exactly.
Whatever happened to you, Dr. Carly, years ago, and whatever happened to me, is they can say, well, yeah, it was wrong, but the statute of limitations is expired. Too bad, so sad. It's what happens tomorrow that matters for the benefit of all of our children.
Well, I want to just comment on that because that's not true. The torture of my son continues. It's called duress tolling.
Well,
it's called duress tolling. I just want to bring that up. So the statute continues to go on. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, the same with my children. I haven't been with my children since 2005.
Mm-hmm.
They have the right to be with their father. I'm not divorced from my wife. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I've been separated. My family was thrown into the streets of Boston with unsigned warrants, without due process of law, over unpaid rent owed to no one, in a home my wife paid off the mortgage on, within an estate that's yet to be closed and that she homesteaded. That the fraud in my own personal life is unbelievable. But nobody cares about me. Right?
But see, I want to underline that, David, because what you're saying is so important. Because if people don't think that can happen to them tomorrow, and you don't have to be a whistleblower going against the demonic officials in government, they can pick on you for any reason they want, and you will be in the same boat. And let me tell you something. When you're on the floor after they do these kinds of things to you, it's very hard to keep breathing. It would be much smarter to rise up now and say we're not going to take it anymore. And I just want to comment on one other thing. You were talking about the corruption within the SEC as well. I forget the gentleman's name, but he was on C-SPAN. There was some individual who actually reported Bernie Madoff to the SEC years.
Marco Polo. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. What was his name again?
Marco Polos. I've talked to both of his lawyers. His first lawyer was a lady from Quebec. She got scared, run off. And then I talked to his second lawyer, and she never told his second lawyer about me. Our biggest enemy is ourselves. It's greed and fear.
Exactly.
We all look to our own interests, and we're all afraid to do anything because we don't think we can. It's like that old Pink Floyd song, Us and Them. And these people, the powers that be, I call them, capitalize on our fear and our greed. Now, my humble opinion, our two greatest enemies are lawyers, and I call them bean counters, but accountants or MBAs or whatever you call them. They run the show. If they control the court and the money, everything follows it. So follow the money. And the thing that I discovered years ago is just like the old adage said, all roads lead to Rome. That is why I sued Cardinal Law in 2002. I'm the guy who sued Cardinal Law in 2002.
Okay, wait, that's huge, and we got to hear about that. We do have a caller that's been waiting a long time. I'll bring her on after the break, and then we got to hear about Cardinal Law. We'll be right back. And we're back with What's Ailing America, where my special guest is David Raymond Amos. And David, we would need like days to do a proper show, but we have two callers that have been waiting a long time. George, are you still there?
How you doing?
Hi, George.
Yeah, the thing is, I'm trying to attack this at a totally different angle. You have people saying away with the IRS and, audit the Fed, we desperately need that. But my angle is, I'm going after the 17th Amendment, and I'm trying to construct a film on the 17th Amendment and trying to get people in different states to find out if their state ratified it or not, and start pressuring our legislatures to pressure our senators and start having grand juries in the state doing grand jury investigations, because a lot of these problems happen because mainly our U.S. senators are paid to look the other way.
Well, I agree with you, but see, what you have to realize is that the Homeland Security put out a list of who they consider terrorists, and basically anybody who talks about the amendments after the 10th Amendment not being ratified are considered terrorists. I mean, the problem is the corruption and fraud is so deep. I mean, it's hard to know where to go. I encourage everybody to do whatever their conscience leads them to do, but there's no question that the Fed is at the heart of our debt, which is a total fraud upon itself. So I agree with you. All of these things are important. The courts are totally corrupt. Every single person in the District of Criminals is committing treason. What do you think about what George is saying, though, David?
I've heard talk of the 17th Amendment. The issues about grand juries are absolutely valid. You understand that I'm a Canadian, not an American, but I am married to an American lady and proud father of two Yankees. But as a Canadian, your Department of Homeland Security doesn't recognize any of my rights because I'm an alien, and they tried to take me to Guantanamo Bay in 2003. And as far as I know, there's 3 warrants for my arrest down in the States that nobody will give me documentation for. So actions in your country I have to do remotely by way of my son, who just turned 18, if he opts to do it, because everything that happened to me happened to him. But if you were going to fight a monster such as the U.S. government and use the Constitution, to use the 17th Amendment is one thing, yes. But what about the 4th Amendment, where I have wiretap tapes of the mob that involve murder? Why won't anybody investigate those?
Well, and I just have to say, and what about the fact that...
Not the tail.
Okay, and what about the fact that back in the time of FDR, they created the administrative state, as Ralph Winterrod talks about on this network. And if you haven't heard my show with Ralph, which gives an excellent introduction, you must hear that show, folks. Go to drcarly.com. You will see it amongst the MP3 files. It's in red. The administrative state is the shadow government. All of these agencies are underneath it. And in terms of your rights not being recognized, David, because you're Canadian, under the model state health law, they're getting ready to try to force all of us to be inoculated with a biological weapon and other various things. So
yeah, but that's under WHO, and that's global. Now,
yeah,
now
this
the thing about
monster
it
is gigantic. Yes.